Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. It is exactly 18 after 8 o'clock. This is News and Views on Salam Media. And that, of course, is South African time as we are crossing over to Palestine, particularly to Jerusalem. And we'll be talking to my dearest sister, Abeer Zayyad. She is a Palestinian archeologist and expert on Al-Aqsa Mosque. It is the first of Ramadan there. Let us hear just how dire is the situation for our brothers and sisters in Palestine, and particularly what has happened last night with the first Taraweeh in at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Dear sister, Assalamu alaikum. Abeer Zayyad, welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam. First, we hope that Ramadan Kareem for all the Muslim Ummah in the whole world, and we hope that this will come next year with a better situation for the Muslims in all over the world.
Ameen, Ameen, Thumma Ameen. So, the first of Ramadan, or the first Taraweeh, was observed last night in the Middle East, and in particular at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. What was the situation there? Were our brothers and sisters able to perform Salah and Taraweeh in relative peace and harmony?
In fact, no. The situation in Jerusalem since 7 October has become much, much worse. Even that before, it was hard, and each Ramadan there was find a lot of difficulty for us to enter to the mosque from the Israeli regime. But this year, as you know, they put more restriction. And yesterday for Taraweeh, they did not allow for young men to enter to Taraweeh, and they start pushing the people at the entrance of the mosque, and they beat also some of the people. They allowed for old people, for women to enter inside to pray, but they did not allow for young men. So the young men at the end, they pray at the entrance of Al-Aqsa Mosque. In all the gates of Al-Aqsa Mosque, there was people praying Taraweeh outside of the mosque. And of course, we does not know what will happen in the coming day, and if they will allow it for people from West Bank to come, or for people from 1948 that they have Israel passport to also to come to the mosque to pray. But till now, we know that young men are not allowed to enter for Taraweeh, and yesterday it was difficult on them, and they attacked them and beat them.
Okay, so Abeer, we also understand that, and this may not necessarily be only a Jerusalem situation, we're talking about the situation all across Palestine. The United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, says that there's hunger everywhere in Gaza. As Ramadan begins, and also has reiterated the calls for an immediate ceasefire during the month of Ramadan. What is the situation like in Jerusalem, particularly the Al-Aqsa compound area?
Of course, nothing can be compared with what is happening in Gaza. What is happening in Gaza, it's something that above any imagination, about hungry, about people that they are starving, dying from lack of food. So nothing can be compared with what is happening in Gaza. In the West Bank, also there's hunger. Also, there are a lack of money because Israel stopped allowed for workers to work since 7 October, and also they did not send any taxes for Palestinian Authority. So this way, there is no income at all in the West Bank, and this is, of course, affect a lot of family in the West Bank. But also, it can't be compared with what is happening in Gaza. Because Gaza is not only that they does not have money, they does not have food. Also, with the pumping, everything is completely different. In Jerusalem, the main thing what is happening that Israel putting more and more pressure on the people to leave the mosque, to be out of the mosque, to leave Jerusalem by attacking, by humiliating, by it put more taxes, more fines, beating everywhere. But again, this something as much as it's very, very bad can't be compared with what is happening in Gaza. But at the end, we need to understand that all what is happening in Gaza from the beginning, one of the main reasons it's what is happening inside Al-Aqsa Mosque, and that Israel we are shifting the situation in Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, while we are speaking, Al-Aqsa Mosque is empty from the Muslims, but we have more than 100 settlers walking inside the mosque after they storm it, and they are praying uh, inside the mosque. So this is something not easy on us. And we know that this Ramadan, it will be very, very difficult on us, especially that Ben Gvir, that one of the ministers of the Israel government, which you know how much he's racist, he's one of he's the responsible of the decision for Al-Aqsa Mosque. So we are expecting a very difficult situation. But again, as much as we are suffering, as much as we are facing issues in Jerusalem or in the West Bank, we can't compare it with what is happening in Gaza. But in the
I want
same time,
carry
sorry
on.
but in the same time, we need to understand that to to support the Palestinian, you need also to do what you can do. It's not only about sending help to Gaza or the West Bank or Jerusalem, also to come, because you as a foreigner people from South Africa, from UK, from other country, you have the ability to enter to the mosque more than us, and this is very important to fill up the mosque. So we need you to come, and it's very important to keep Jerusalem alive, to come. Jerusalem is the main goal for us and for them. So the one who the group or the side who keep the Aqsa, who keep Jerusalem at the end, this is will be uh, the goal. This is will be the succeed side. So as much as we are sad, as much we are grieving about people losing their lives in Gaza and in other area in West Bank and Jerusalem, of course the number in Gaza is just much bigger than what we are losing in West Bank or Jerusalem. But at the end, we know as Palestinian that the goal is Al-Aqsa Mosque, so we need to protect it.
Abeer, you are a Palestinian archaeologist and expert on the Al-Aqsa Mosque. You toured South Africa and you gave the most interesting discussions about the importance of Al-Aqsa in the life of a Muslim. And we also know that you work in the compound. I can see you are in your office right now. Um, how has all of this impacted on the work that you do as an archaeologist? And what can you tell us about the site of the Al-Aqsa Mosque? Because we've heard rumors that there was possibly tunnels being dug by the illegal occupiers. As an archaeologist, what can you tell us about the situation?
First of all, the effect of the war on the mosque, it was very clear by controlling more, by not allowing for any restriction, by not allowing for youth to enter. And at the beginning, even the old people was not allowed to enter to the mosque. So more control, more punishment, even to the workers. We see this in the whole mosque. But the tunnels is another issue. The tunnels, it starts since the British occupation. And since the British occupation, we know that they are digging underneath the mosque, especially from the west side, and also underneath of the Muslim quarter from the west side of the city. So these tunnels, of course, is affect the building inside the mosque and in the Muslim quarter. And we know that with the any earthquake, that it will affect that it could be destroy the mosque and destroy also most of the Muslim area. But these tunnels, the main goal was at the beginning to find any archaeological evidence for existing of what they call it the first temple period, which is the Iron Age, that they want to find any archaeological proof that they was here. It does not matter if it was in time of Dawood alayhi salam or Sulaiman alayhi salam or others. Because we as a Muslim, we does not know when this prophet was alive, but they are giving, as a Zionist, they are giving a special date. So they want to prove that they was exist as a Bani Israel or as an Jewish in Jerusalem in that time, which is the Iron Age, which is around 1200 BC. But all the archaeological evidence was proving that there is no evidence at all for their existing in that date that they are giving, in that historical time that they are giving in their study or in their Bible, Old Testament. So, of course, now the tunnel, they are using it as a place for selling their propaganda, for making synagogues, for making also the foundation of the mosque and the Muslim quarter weaker.
Of course, the entire intention there would be then to weaken the structure completely. And as you've indicated, if there is an earthquake, the mosque or parts of the mosque and the Muslim quarters would collapse. And their intention, of course, is to supposedly build their new temple, which they say is promised, as Jewish or Zionist people. That was the site they claim was the Temple of Solomon, or as we as Muslims know, Sulaiman alayhi salam. So they want to rebuild that temple, do they not? And this is the whole intention. I'm wondering, what more can we as Muslims do to dispel all of those beliefs of theirs?
First of all, we need to understand from archaeological point of view that the date that they are giving and speaking about, we does not have any archaeological evidence for it at all. And we as a Muslim, we does not have anything to say when Sulaiman alayhi salam was alive or Dawood alayhi salam was alive. So we need to know that there is nothing to prove their story. So this is very important to understand as a beginning. Also, what we can do to the mosque, as I said before, we need to fill up the mosque. This is a duty on each Muslim that can arrive to the mosque, is to fill up the mosque. This is more important than from, let's say, from my point of view, from going to any other place in the world, as much as it's holy, even more than in Medina and Mecca, because we are not afraid that when Medina and Mecca will be taken by Zionists, but we are afraid about Al-Aqsa Mosque. So it's a duty on each Muslim to put in their priority is to come to Al-Aqsa Mosque. Sorry, while we are speaking, I just arrived some news about attacking Qalqilia city in the West Bank, and that they are shooting, and some people had been injured while we are speaking now.
Allah protect them, inshallah. This is utter madness that is going on there. Let's talk about your work, Abeer. What are you doing? Because the rest of Palestine, Gaza, the West Bank, etc., is almost totally shut down. You, I see, you are back at the office. Let's understand what type of work you are able to undertake under these very harsh conditions by the occupiers.
We still try to provide for all the Muslims who are coming free tours, free archaeological tours inside the mosque, and to try to introduce the mosque and the city as much as we can for them, so they will be understand the situation in a real way and to understand the building. Of course, also in the charity, we are able to help the people in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, in all Palestine. We are trying to help them for their food, for their necessary stuff, to be able to support them. So this is from the charity point of view, and from the mosque point of view, we try to keep the information. And we are also providing now a new map. Inshallah, it will be distributed for all the people who are coming from outside, that they will need it in their trip inside Jerusalem. From it's not only a map, it's also a guiding line that they can have all the necessary phone that they needed if anything happened with them.
Okay, in closing, then, let me just read this paragraph to you, and I'd like you to respond. The Palestinian Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Ramadan in Gaza this year will be unlike the holy month in previous years or anywhere else in the world. In light of the destruction of all aspects of life in the besieged enclave, including dozens of mosques, and we do know that the majority of mosques in these areas have been destroyed, probably totally. Your thoughts, Abeer?
Of course, it should not be like any Ramadan that any Muslim Ummah had faced it before. This is something have never been happening in the whole history before, in whole history of Muslims. This is why it's responsibility on all Muslims. This is something that can't be just take it like this and just there is no word to explain that. There is nothing to can explain what the situation that is happening. Some people are fasting, but they does not have any food for iftar. So it's not even they does not have a clean water. They does not have a place to stay. Some of the children, they does not have any member of their family with them. So this is not something that is normal. This is not something that we can say that it's happened before in history. This is something never happened before in Muslim Ummah.
And still, despite everything that we see and hear from the most reliable sources like yourself, the global community is absolutely silent on this matter. They will not put pressure on the Biden administration and the illegal occupiers to start, to have a ceasefire on humanitarian reasons, on the fact that what is happening is absolutely inhumane.
So they of course, they do not care. This is just a double standard. This is what we can say. It's a double standard. You can see how they are acting with Ukrainian. You can see how they are acting with others. It's just a supreme thought that they are as European or Western people, that they are in their lives is more important than our lives. We are not in their category. All the colored people, as they called us, or all the people from Middle East, from Africa, from Asia, they are not the same important like them. This is become very clear that our life is not equal to the life of European people.
Absolutely. So white supremacy continues to rule the world. That's where we leave it, Abeer. Our du'as are with you and the entire ummah in Palestine. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this Mubarak month of Ramadan, where Allah promises us that He accepts all du'as, inshallah. He accepts du'as and makes it easy on the Palestinian people, and inshallah that a ceasefire is called so that people can start picking up the bits and pieces of whatever is left of their lives and start rebuilding. You go well, keep safe, and salamu alaikum to you.
Walaikum assalam.
That was Sister Abeer Zayyad. She's a Palestinian archeologist and an expert on Al-Aqsa Mosque. And of course, she gives us an eyewitness news account of exactly what is happening in the Al-Quds, foundation, in compound rather, at the Al-Aqsa Mosque and all of Palestine. That brings us to 8:37 right here on Salam Media. Do stand by. Professor Sipho Siepe is going to be talking to us in a minute or two.